I was just treating my local coffee shop as a way for me to decompress, not just order coffee and go, but to sit down with that cup of coffee and then just start to really like think about everything, right? Think about like what I have to do the rest of the day. Think about like the books I'm gonna read. It just gradually became more than just a beverage or more than just caffeine. It became a place of comfort, a place of safety, a place where I could be myself, a place where I could do whatever I want to do in that moment. Okay, Queen of Tears, Queen of Tears. I just love seeing people romanticizing their morning routine making coffee, and I was like, I want to do that too. You know, I want to see how I feel making coffee at home, you know, tuning out the world and just like really spending time in that moment to make coffee. I think it's that like mindset shift where you're like, what else is out there all of a sudden? I love variation. I love being able to try, you know, different things. And at least for my palate, I love being able to like describe what I'm tasting and feeling. And eventually I started to wanted to make it part of my routine. I think I really enjoyed just having something to do every single morning. So the core tools for making coffee at home, beans, water. Yes, beans and water are like the fundamentals of, you know, what you need. You could keep it simple. Like you don't need all the complex things that people are doing nowadays, like these tools to spin your espresso, you know, puck, or you know, these like needles that people use to make sure that their grinds are distributed evenly, things like that, right? You don't really need all those things. I would say fundamentally, all you really need are the beans, the water, and then your brew method of choice. And by that I mean some people like to brew espresso, some people like to make just drip coffee, some people want to make like Vietnamese coffee, for example, right? So your brew method of choice. You don't have to get super flashy with it too. You don't need like $1,000 espresso machine if you want to make espresso, right? Or if you want to brew like just drip coffee, you could go simple and get this like cone-shaped dripper. You get a French press where you just put coffee grinds, water, and you just press it down. I do recommend getting a grinder as well. It's a lot more fresher than having it pre-grounded and bringing that home. Coffee loses its flavor naturally as soon as it becomes coffee grinds, or as soon as you grind the coffee, it loses its natural flavor. If you're using a pour-over setup, you need filters too. Everything else is fair game to help improve, you know, your coffee making experience. I would say water plays a really big factor as well, surprisingly to a lot of people. Like I could use tap water, I could use really fresh, purified, you know, water as well. The purified water will win 100% of the time in my book. Some people can't taste the difference. Like if you're making like, you know, a pour-over or like a kettle drip coffee or even like espresso, like some people can't tell the difference, but I would say water really matters. And then everything else is fair game, right? You can use whatever milk you want, whatever syrups you want that suits your taste to make what's good for you. I don't think I've ever had the same drink over and over. I feel like when I go to different coffee shops, of course, there's the general like cortados, espresso, iced Americanos, but most of the time they have, you know, specialty drinks that you could try, or specialty beans that's specific to that cafe, right? Or, you know, beans that they're roasting from across the world as well. We made it like a goal to always visit at least like one new coffee shop a day. Maybe if I love the coffee and beans, buy the beans, bring it home. You take that first sip of coffee and then mindfully you just start to notice, like, are you feeling that the coffee is a little bit more acidic? You know, is it a little bit more sour? If it's acidic, maybe the beans are too like coarse, or if it's sour, maybe the beans are too fine. That's my first thing I ask myself when I take that first sip of coffee before I get to the flavor profiles. You got to keep experimenting and trying because you never know what you're going to like, right? If you just keep it to your same order at the same cafe every single day, you won't know what you would like until, you know, you experience other things out there. Personally, for me, I think getting started at home, I found pour-overs a lot easier to develop that routine that I had in making and developing coffee at home. So I started with very simple setup. I even bought like a very cheap kettle as well, so I could, you know, pour water into my pour-over. Good coffee is what tastes good to you. Very cheesy, but it's true because everyone has different palates, right? It's hard to say what's good to me might not be good for you, right? So the very straightforward, simple answer is what's good to you. As you're drinking coffee, noticing how you feel 5 hours later, noticing how you feel immediately after, right, is super important for me in managing my like caffeine intake. Don't start your day with just coffee. Make sure you have like a glass of water or something else, and then you can drink coffee. You got to make sure you're staying hydrated. Espresso is really concentrated, right? It's concentrated coffee. It's typically 2 ounces, and it's made by forcing hot water with really high pressure into finely ground coffee beans, which a lot of folks like to drink as is, or pour a little bit of milk to make a cortado, for example, or even use it to form an iced latte, right? So it's just really concentrated coffee. I always think good coffee is when the beans that I'm sourcing from are being made from farmers that are well supported, well respected. The farmers, the ones that produce all the coffee cherries and coffee beans that, roasters are getting. And the farmers to the roasters, or it goes down to ensuring that the roasters know what the heck they're doing. Like, are they making dark roast, medium roast, light roast, right? Different types of roasts. And then the baristas that make your coffee from the beans from the roasters. I would say everything is trial and error, right? Like, messed up to your eyes or someone else's eyes could be like, oh, the coffee tastes bad, right? Or like, oh, it's not brewing the way that I want to. I don't think you're messing up. I think you're just trying it, and maybe you made a little bit of mistakes and you just adjust it the next time, right? And it's totally fine. I think that's the mentality that I have. Even now, like, no one's gonna dial in coffee per se at the first try. No one's gonna like make a pour over correctly the first try every single time, because there's so many nuances. And I think there's beauty and fun and creativity in trialing and trying new things to make sure you're brewing the perfect cup. Coffee helped me get through my late night studies throughout high school and college. It helped me get through my first breakup. It gave me a space to feel comfortable, to journal my thoughts, to read, to look around the world and see what's out there, and just understand the world a little bit better. I just love the peace, the tranquility, and the joy that it brings me every single morning. It's like everything is tuned out. I don't have to think about work. I don't have to think about the rest of the day. I just have to focus on that moment in time where I'm brewing the cup of coffee that's perfect to me, right? That tastes good to me.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to discover more hobbies and visit notjustahobby.com to learn more.